welcome to the course on jurisprudence. I am Dr. Simranjeet Kaur, Professor of Law from City University, Ludhiana. Today, we will talk about the relationship between law and morality. So, let's start with the introduction to the topic. Law and morality are the two systems that govern the way humans behave. Law is a body of rules and the regulations that all people are mandatorily obligated to adhere to. Morals, on the other hand, refers to the general principles or standards of behavior that define human conduct within the society, but are not compulsorily to be followed. The relationship between the law and morality is complicated one and has evolved over the years. Initially, the two were considered equal, but with time and progressiveness, it is highlighted that the two are different concepts, but with certain interdependency between them. Morality as the basis of law. Throughout the history, no clear distinction has been made between law and morality. By virtue of the lack of distinctions, all laws found their origin from what was considered morally correct by the people in a society. Eventually, the state picked up what was morally correct and gave it the form of laws or rules and regulations. Therefore, the law finds its origin and is based on the values that float amongst the people, creating a similarity between the two concepts, that's law and morality. For example, it is morally wrong to kill someone or to rape someone. This value has taken the form of law. Morality may with time have been distinguished with the laws, but it remains an integral part of the legal development. Law essentially involves certain basic principles such as the principle of fairness and equality, and these principles are derived from the ethics and morals. Now, let us discuss what is law. Ethnicity, religion or social standing. Laws are designed to provide stability and consistency in the society by settling out clear and predictable rules for behavior. They are subject to change through formal legislative processes or judicial decisions when necessary. Laws are generally created to serve the public interest and promote the welfare and safety of society as a whole. Law is an essential tool for maintaining social order and promoting justice within a society. By providing a framework for interactions and resolving disputes, it helps to establish a stable and harmonious environment for the individuals and communities to coexist. Now, let us discuss what is morality. Morality refers to the principles, values and beliefs that guide human behavior and decision making, distinguish action as right or wrong, good or bad, virtuous or immoral. It is a fundamental aspect of human nature and influences the way individuals interact with others and make choices in various aspects of life. Morality is a subjective concept, meaning it can vary among individuals, cultures and societies. Different people and groups may hold distinct moral beliefs and ethical frameworks. Morality carries a normative dimension, suggesting what ought to be done or what is morally desirable. It serves as a guide for the ethical behavior and serves to promote actions that are deemed morally good. Consequentialist theories like utilitarianism focus on the outcomes or consequences of the actions to determine their moral worth. Action that produce the greatest overall good or happiness are considered morally right. importance of understanding their relationships. Law and the morals are integral system that governs individual behavior within the society. Laws, being established rules and regulation sanctioned by the authority, carry a compulsory nature requiring adherence. Conversely, moral represents behavioral standards that individuals are encouraged to uphold voluntarily to promote peaceful coexistence and social acceptability. Although distinct, the relationship between law and morals has evolved over the time. In antiquity, law and morality were often perceived as a synonym. As a society progressed, a clear distinction emerged, emphasizing their unique characteristics while acknowledging their interdependence. Laws, as a formal legal constructs, hold coercive powers backed by the enforcement mechanism to ensure compliance. On the other hand, morals rooted in the personal and societal values guide conduct through individual choice without the force of compulsion. However, the distinction between laws and moral is essential. While laws may aim to uphold societal morals, they occasionally face moral scrutiny. Conversely, adhering to the morals can lead to non-compliance with certain laws, raising ethical dilemmas for the individuals. Law and morals are distinct, yet intertwined systems governing individual conduct within the society. Laws possesses a compulsory nature, deriving authority from governing bodies, while morals are voluntary behavior standard founded on the personal and societal values. Throughout the history, law have been influenced by the moral considerations, shaping legal system that align with prevailing ethical norms. Nevertheless, as the legal system evolved, the relationship between law and morals remained complex, demanding ongoing examination to strike a harmonious balance that promotes justice, societal welfare, and individual freedoms. The connection between morality and the law is a complex and has changed over the time. Initially, the two are thought to be equivalent, but with time and advancement, it has become clear that they are actually two distinct notions with the same interdependence. The relationships between law and morality is a complex and multifaceted one, and it has been a subject of intense debate and philosophical inquiry for the centuries. This relationship can be understood in various ways, and different legal and moral theories offer distinct perspectives on how these two domains interact. Some key aspects of the relationship between law and morality include influence of morality on law. Throughout the history, moral values have played a significant role in shaping the legal system and the laws. Many laws are derived from and reflect prevailing moral norms and societal values. For example, laws prohibiting murder, theft, and fraud are rooted in shared moral principles that prioritize the protection of life, property, and honesty. Moral consideration can derive legal reforms, prompting the creation of the new laws or amendments to the existing one to align the evolving ethical standards. If we talk about the legal enforcement of the moral values, in some cases, laws are explicitly enacted to enforce specific moral values or social objectives. For instance, laws that promote social equality, protect vulnerable groups, or prohibit discriminations are often influenced by the moral imperatives to uphold justice and fairness in the society. Legal system can be instrumental in promoting and enforcing moral standards. Moral limits on the law. While moral values may influence the law, there are instances where legal norms may conflict with widely accepted moral principles. In such situations, individuals and the legal practitioners may face moral dilemmas, navigating between adhering to the law, adhering to their personal moral conviction. For example, laws that discriminate against certain groups or restrict individual freedoms may be perceived as morally unjust and spark debates about the legitimacy of such laws. Cultural and historical context. The relationship between law and morality can vary based on cultural, religious, and historical context. Different societies may have diverse moral beliefs, leading to varying legal frameworks. Cultural relativism recognizes that moral values can be culturally contingent and suggests that legal system should respect these differences. Legal positivism versus natural law. Legal theories like legal positivism argue for the separation of law from morality, asserting that law derives their validity solely from their source of authority and not from their own moral content. On the other hand, natural law theory proposes a more intrinsic connection between law and morality, suggesting laws should be grounded in the universal moral principle. Different schools of law and morality. Natural law school, Aristotle view. Aristotle, a Greek philosopher, contributed significantly to the development of the natural law theory. According to his perspective, there is an inherent order and purpose in the natural world. This concept extends to the human beings and the society. Aristotle believes that human beings have laws or a natural end or a purpose, and living in accordance with this purpose leads to the fulfillment of the human potential and the happiness. In the context of the law and morality, Aristotle argued that just as in natural objects have a characteristic properties and functions, human beings too have a nature that determines what is good for them. He believed that law should be crafted in a way that aligns with the human nature and promotes human flourishing. For example, promoting virtues such as courage, wisdom, and justice through laws would lead to the harmonious and just society. Thomas Aquinas' contribution. Thomas Aquinas, a medieval theologian and philosopher, further developed the natural law theory in a Christian context. He synthesized Aristotle's ideas with Christian theology, emphasizing the connection between the natural law and the divine law. Aquinas identified four primary precepts of the natural law: to preserve the life, to reproduce, to educate the young, and to live in society. These precepts, he argued, were based on the human nature and essential for the common good and human flourishing. Aquinas' influences on the natural law theory has been profound, and his idea contribute to shape morals and the legal philosophy. Analytical school. Jeremy Bentham's idea. Jeremy Bentham, an influential English philosopher and the legal theorist of the 18th and 19th century, was a key figure in the development of the legal positivism. Bentham believed that law should be based on empirical observation and scientific approach to the social organization. He emphasized the need for the utilitarianism, the principle that laws should aim to maximize overall happiness or pleasure for the greatest number of people. Bentham argued that law and morality are distinct and separate concept. He believed that laws are created by human authorities and derive their legitimacy from the state's power, not from the moral consideration. According to the Bentham, morality is a subjective and variety among the individuals, while law should be a matter of objective rules that can be analyzed and applied in a consistent manner. John Austin's positivist approach. John Austin, a legal philosopher of the 19th century, further developed legal positivism based on the idea that law is a command issued by a recognized political authority. He posted that laws are essential orders backed by the threat of the sanctions for the punishment. For Austin, there is no necessary connection between law and morality. A law could be unjust or immoral but still be considered valid if it emanates from the legitimate political authority. Austin's approach helped solidify the separation between the law and morality within the legal positivism. He focused on the empirical study of the legal system and the analysis of the legal concepts, emphasizing the importance of understanding law as it is rather than as it ought to be based on the moral principles. Legal positivists, including Bentham and Austin, advocates for a clear separation between law and morality. Legal positivists criticize the natural law approach for blending the law and morality, as they believe it could be lead to uncertainty and subjectivity in legal decision making. Overall, the historical perspective on law and morality represented by the natural law theory and the legal positivism present different viewpoints on a relationship between law and morality. Natural law theory posts a connection between the two, where law should reflect moral principles derived from the human nature and the reason, while the legal positivism emphasizes the separation of law from morality, treating law as a social construct that is valid regardless of its moral content. The Hart-Fuller debate. The Hart-Fuller debate on the law and morality is a pivotal discussion in jurisprudence, the study of the legal theory and philosophy. The debate centers on the relationship between law and morality and whether there is an instinct connection between the two, or if they should be considered as separate domains. Let's delve deeper into their perspective positions. H.L.A. Hart's legal positivism. H.L.A. Hart, a prominent legal philosopher and a proponent of the legal positivism, argued that there is a clear separation between law and morality. According to Hart's view, the existence and validity of law are determined by the social facts rather than moral considerations. He identified law as a social phenomena established by a union of primary and secondary rules and recognized by the officials and citizens within the legal system. Hart believed that validity of the law should be understood from an internal point of view, meaning that legal rules are valid if they are generally accepted and followed by those within the legal system. He rejected any necessary connection between law and morality, asserting that a law can be valid even if it is morally unjust or does not align with the moral principles. For Hart, the primary focus in understanding the law lies in analyzing its structure and the ways it is created, applied, and adjudicated. Lon L. Fuller's morality of law. Lon L. Fuller, in contrast, presented a more moral and substantive view of the law. He argued that there is an inherent connection between law and morality, and the legal system must fulfill certain moral principles to be considered legitimate. Fuller introduced the concept of inner morality of law, which suggests that a legal system must adhere to certain principles for it to be just and valid. Fuller identified 8 principles that a legal system should embody, such as journality, publicity, consistency, and providing guidance for the conduct. He contended that a legal system that fails to fulfill these principles would be deficient and might not deserve to be called a legitimate legal system. Fuller's approach emphasized the importance of the moral content in law and the significance of considering the ethical implications of the legal rules and the decision. The debate. The Hart-Fuller debate significantly impacted the study of the jurisprudence and the legal philosophy. It brought to the forefront questions about the nature of law, its legitimacy, and the relationship between law and morality. The Hart-Fuller debate can be summarized as a clash between the legal positivism represented by the Hart and more moral and substantive view of the law represented by the Fuller. Hart argued that the validity of the law lies in its recognition with the legal system, regardless of its moral content. He emphasized the importance of a clear and consistent legal framework. On the other hand, Fuller argued that the moral content and internal coherence of the laws are essential for a legal system to be legitimate. He criticized the idea that any set of rules, no matter how unjust or immoral, could be considered a legitimate legal system. Overall, the Hart-Fuller debate remains relevant to the contemporary jurisprudential discussions, reminding scholars and practitioners to consider the complex interplay between law and morality when examining legal system and their normative foundations. The interactions between law and morality in contemporary legal system. Criminal law and morality. The criminalization of certain behaviors often reflects society's moral values. Issues such as abortion, euthanasia, and drug use highlight the tension between the moral beliefs and the legal regulations. Examining how lawmakers navigate these contentious issues sheds light on the role of morality in shaping criminal law. Same-sex marriage and LGBTQ rights. The recognition of the same-sex marriage and the extension of the rights of LGBT community illustrate how societal shifts in the moral values can lead to the legal changes. This intersection showcases how evolving moral standards can impact legislation and judicial decisions. Assisted reproductive technologies. Advancements in the reproductive technologies have led to the ethical dilemmas and the legal challenges surrounding issues like surrogacy, embryo research, and genetic modifications. The developments of the law in this area reflects society's moral considerations. Challenges in the legal decision making. Cultural relativism. One of the challenges of the incorporating morality into law is a cultural relativism. Different societies have diverse moral beliefs, making it difficult to establish universal moral framework that can guide legal system. As a society becomes more interconnected, legal pluralism and the clash of the moral values across culture present complex challenges for the harmonization of the international law. Judicial discretion. In judicial decision making, judges may encounter cases where the law conflicts with their personal moral convictions. Balancing their moral values with the legal principles they are bound to uphold can be challenging the task, raising concerns about judicial impartiality and the risk of the subjective judgment. On a concluding note, law and morality under the jurisprudence. The relationship between law and morality is a multifaceted and continually evolving, while the legal positivists argue for the strict separation of law from morality. Natural law theories insist on strong connection. Nevertheless, historical and contemporary evidence reveals that morality has a significant influence on the legal system, and law in turn can shape societal moral norms. Modern debates continue to explore the role of morality in the lawmaking and legal interpretation. In contemporary legal systems, issues like criminal law, marriage rights, and the reproductive technologies highlights the influence of the moral values on the legislation and judicial decisions. Addressing challenges such as cultural relativism, judicial activism is crucial in maintaining a just, balanced legal system that respects both the rule of law and individual morality. Striking this delicate balance ensures that law remains a reflection of a societal values while upholding the principle of justice and fairness. Navigating the interplay between law and morality is an outgoing challenge for the legal practitioners and the scholars. Understanding and acknowledging the dynamic relationship between these two domains is crucial for the development of the just and equitable legal system that align with the societal values and promote the greater good. As societies evolve and encounters the new ethical dilemmas, jurisprudence will continue to be a part at the forefront of these discussions, seeking to strike a delicate balance between law and morality. So, viewers, that was all for today. We will discuss more topics on jurisprudence in the forthcoming videos. Thank you for watching the program.